Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit هم جميل. أول حاجة كنت حياتنا لكل بيت وكل أسرة وكل شاب وكل طفل. Everyone in, يعني from our congregation, we just basically always in our heart, our mind, our soul. Matter of fact, today I printed the names of the whole congregation. I pray the liturgy next time. I will have each one's name under the altar. So can God listen to your prayer and give us wisdom. فبنحييكم كلكم، بنسلم عليكم جميعا، وحقيقي فعلا كلمة وحشتونا مش كفاية. المسبح وحشنا جدا جدا جدا، الكنيسة وحشانا خالص خالص. But you know what? They always say in the end of the tunnel, there's always light. But we know that in the end of this tunnel here of coronavirus, there will be a light. There will be a light. Also today, I wish you all a happy feast of St. Mary. Today, النهارده عيد العذراء في زهورها في الزيتون. I wish you all really a beautiful feast of St. Mary. And God's will, after I finish my talk, which is going to be hopefully first I'm going to speak in English, then I'm going to speak in Arabic. أنا هتكلم الأول بالإنجليزي حوالي 20 minutes وبعد كده بالعربي برضه حوالي 10 minutes يعني. فأول ما أخلص هنعمل تمجيد للعذراء. يعني لو أنت معانا فخليك معانا، لأن النهارده عيد العذراء برضه هنعملها تمجيد. كان يوم الثلاثاء اللي فات يوم 21، النهارده هنعملها تمجيد after I finish. Again أنا هتكلم بالإنجليش الأول وبعد كده هقول كلمة بالعربي بعدين. كل سنة طيبين. Today is the feast of St. Mary. One of the beautiful titles of St. Mary, we call her the faithful advocate. She's the only one can intercede for us before our Lord God Jesus Christ, that He can shorten these days and this day to be a little bit shortened, and God will actually accept our prayer on His behalf. Also, I'm sure today you heard from the message from Bob Tawadros والمجمع المقدس about closing the church even during the whole week. Now we pray, I'm sure we're not sure what will happen tomorrow. Also, we're going to follow it, His Holiness, and tomorrow we have a meeting with our beloved Father David. We'll give you more update about what will happen during the whole week, and we'll give you more update tomorrow after we have our meeting with our beloved Father, His Grace Bishop David. طبعا all of us, I'm sure, I think about it all day long, does not even get out of my mind. What's behind all of this? What's behind all of this? Have I ever even thought that this will happen? No way out. Even when I remember I first talked about God's wisdom beyond our wisdom. What's God's wisdom behind this? Really, all of us, I actually was walking today around the house and I said to myself, I have never ever thought that whole week I'm going to be home, praying at home. Whole week it's just impossible. But you know what? Today I listened to a little sermon by Amber Fa'il. It gave me so much comfort and peace, because sometimes some people are like, God is punishing us. I love Amber Fa'il when he said, during this time, it's not about God. Coronavirus is a message for us to flee to God. نرتمي في حضن ربنا كده، نمسك في حضن ربنا ونقول يا رب لن نتركك يا رب. We are not going to leave you. I love this is a perfect time for all of us. It doesn't matter, younger, older. It's time in احنا كده to go and basically holding God promise, because He's our refugee. Whatever we have a problem, we run to God. So maybe even when you study in the Old Testament, by the way, whatever even any big problem happens, the people cry to the Lord, and the Lord respond back to them. So we're gonna keep praying, running to God, telling God, you know what? We know that you are. We're holding your hand, nothing will touch us. We pray also. I'm sure your kids enjoying all the Zoom program, Sunday school, all the activities, the church, Al-Han, the Yakinet, and also Bible study, high school, college, and graduate. It's been actually a great experience for the servants and for us that we're able to connect with your kids through Zoom. So I hope all of us really can benefit from this. Today, God's will, actually, I'm going to try to talk to you about one of the beautiful books of the Bible. And my advice to all of you, really try to read this book during this time here. The book of Revelation. The book of Revelation. Especially the book of Revelation, it's God's message to the 70 churches, or to every church through John the Beloved. But the book of Revelation is basically God's message to us through John the Beloved. You know, the one who wrote the book of the Revelation is John, St. John. And he mentioned this in the beginning of the gospel. And also in chapter 22, he mentioned that I, John. And most of the tradition of the church, of the historian people, they say it was written in the year between 95 and 96, the book of Revelation. And at that time, it was only one of the apostles and the disciple left, which St. John. He's the last person actually died after the apostle. And he wrote this book here, And the goal of the book of Revelation, by the way, you can find it very clear in Revelation chapter 1. So if you're home, and you can watch it right now on the screen, Revelation chapter 1, verse 1. He said, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servant things which must shortly take place. So we can tell from this, actually, the message from the book of Revelation is very simple message, actually, to tell us what will happen. What will happen in the future. So the revelation of our Lord God Jesus Christ, given him to show his servants, to us, his servant, the things which will basically shortly happen. So basically, the book of Revelation actually has we call it the book of vision. There's a vision God gave it to allow John to see it. And John actually wrote this vision here. And part of the vision actually talks about the heavenly Jerusalem, the end of life, and also talks about whoever will overcome will inherit the kingdom of God. So the main message actually in the book itself to tell us things which shortly will happen. Things must happen in the future. I'm not going to go in detail, but there's an important message for us here in the book of Revelation, chapter verse 1, verse 3. It said, blessed is he who reads and those who hear the words of this prophecy. St. John actually saying, Lord, blessed means how lucky and how good, how important that person who reads, and not only reads, he hears this prophecy here. And this is actually a message for us to emphasize how important the book of Revelation for us. It's really, if you feel like it's a blessing to read the book here. There's a spiritual grace coming from God to everyone that reads here. You see, blessed is he who reads and those who hear the word of prophecy and keep the things which are written in it, for the time is near, which means saying the time is very close. The time is very close. And verse 4 actually saying, John, that's confirmation that the one who wrote this book here, John. He said, John, to the 7 churches which are in Asia, Greece, to you, and peace from him who is and who is and who is to come, and from 7 spirits who are before the throne. St. John said, John to the 7 churches. Basically, this message of the book of Revelation, it's actually chapter 2 and chapter 3, talks about a message to the 7 churches. Those churches, by the way, were existing there in the time of John the Beloved. And actually, he's saying here, the conclusion here, actually, it's a message to the 7 churches. And tonight, God's will, I'm going to speak about one of the churches. So if you go to and open chapter 2, chapter 2 actually talks about message for the churches. And in chapter 3 actually continue the message to every church, which is going to be another 3 churches. Today, I'm going to speak to you about a message to the church of Ephesus. A message to the church of Ephesus. When we read this message here, you would see they call it the loveless church. Or actually the church that lost its love to God. Very important message. The loveless church, or the church that lost its love to God. Let me read for you chapter 2 from 1 to 7. To the angel of the church of Ephesus, write these things. Says, he who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, who walks in the midst of the 7 golden lampstands. I know your works, your labor, your patience, and that you cannot bear those who are evil. And you have tested those who say the apostle and are not, and have found them liars. And you have persevered and have patience and have labored for my name's sake, and have not become worried. Nevertheless, I have this thing against you. You have lost your first love. Remember therefore from where you have fallen. Repent and do the first works, or else I will come to you quickly and remove your lampstand from its place unless you repent. But this you have, that hate the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He who has ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will give him to eat from the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. Which is in the midst of the paradise of God. By the way, I wanted to notice one thing before I start to talk. Every message to every church has a very four important characteristic. Number one, he get the message to the church, to the angel of the church. I'm going to explain this. Number two, actually started praising, commanded this church for what they're doing, praising the church. Number three, emphasizing the problem with the church. What this church lacks. Number four, he get the solution. And in the end, he give advice. He who overcomes will inherit the kingdom of heaven. First one, which is basically to the church of Ephesus. He said to the angel of the church of Ephesus. Who's the angel of the church of Ephesus? Actually, the church is existing in Turkish. And this church actually was, until now, actually, when you go visit Turkey, you will see the relics or part of the church is still there. Yeah. And the church, actually, the angel of the church is writing, it's the bishop of the church. The bishop of the church at that time was Saint Timothy. Saint Timothy was the bishop of the church. But actually, it's impossible to imagine that Saint Timothy, the one who really a great apostle, and we consider him saint in our church, that he really drifted away from God's love, or he lost his first love to God. It's impossible. But all the tradition said, actually, it's not written to the bishop. It's actually the message to the bishop, but it's actually to the people. Can't you imagine? I'm trying, somebody will write a message to the church, Coptic church, to the people of the Coptic church. He will address the message to both daughters. If somebody would like to send a message to the Archdiocese or to His Grace Bishop David on behalf of the Archdiocese, you will address it to Bishop David. But what I'm trying to say here, it's not really the message for Timothy, but actually it's a message to everyone. It's to his people. So today's message, actually, it's a message to you and to me, to every one of us. So to the angel of the church of Ephesus, right, these things say he holds the 7 stars in his right hand, which is talking about, and God in his throne. He's the one, actually, the one sending this message here. It's mentioned in Book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 4, he said, from John to 8 to all the churches, from our Lord Jesus Christ through John to the churches. For number one, it's a message to the church of Ephesus, which is a message to me and you. He said, verse 2, he said, I know your works, your labor, your patience, and that you cannot bear those who are evil. I'd like to start a little bit about I know your works. I know. Actually, our Lord Jesus Christ knows everything. What's happening right now around us, he knows everything what's happening. God is still there. God is still there. But it's a message to me and you how to listen. For I love the way he knows. I remember there used to be a song called God is watching us. God watches us. For God knows everything what we do, even in my own private part. life, he knows everything. God knows everything. There's actually a story in the Bible. You will find it in the book of Acts, chapter 12. When Moses, his brother and his sister, Aaron and his sister Miriam, speak about him because he was married to the Ethiopian woman. They actually were judging Moses for what he did and saying, why did he marry this woman here? And they did not know that God knows everything. God is watching everything. To the point that God appeared to Moses and told him, go get Miriam and get also Aaron. And tell him to go outside of the tabernacle. I want to meet him there. And when you go to the book of Numbers, chapter 12, verses 6 and 7, he said to them, you know what? You're complaining that I spoke to Moses. And in chapter 7, he said, you know what? My servant Moses is faithful for everything that he does. Moses, my servant, the one you talk bad about him, is actually faithful to me. My message here actually, God is telling me, I know everything. Number 2, actually, he started actually commending them and praising them. In 4 things, actually. He said, number 1, I know your works, your labors, your patience, and that you cannot bear those who are evil. He actually praising them for something good with them. That's God's style when he trying to give us a tough message. Number 1, he started talking to us very nice. Very nice. He said, look, I cannot imagine that the church actually lost their love to him, but yet he's trying to emphasize what's good about them. He said, I know your works, your labor, your patience, and also one thing great about you, you cannot bear those who are evil. يعني عنده so much zeal and jealousy to God, so much zeal and jealousy to God that he cannot stand anything evil. But sadly enough, he himself lost his first love to God. He works hard. He has a lot of work. He labors, which means بيتعب. He labors. He's very patient. Not only that, he cannot handle anything evil. When he hear anything evil about anybody or he see anything evil, he will get so upset. But in chapter 4, verse 4, he told him, but one thing, one thing that you lack. So actually, as much as he emphasizes his commandment and praising him about his great quality, and that how really his work, his labor, his patience, and he cannot bear but yet he lacks his first love to God. It reminds me actually of the beautiful quote by Bob Shinoda. Very tough, beautiful quote, especially tough for me when I say it, even it touched my heart personally as a priest. When he said, you have been serving the house of the Lord. When are you going to serve the Lord himself? قضيت عمرك تخدم بيت الرب فمتى تخدم رب البيت. For sometimes I'm afraid that I serve the house of the Lord. I work hard. I have so much labor. I'm patient. I cannot stand those who are really evil. But yet I lost my first love. So number 1, he sent the message to the angel of Ephesus. 2, he commanded him with the great work that he does. 3 بقى, he's given him what is the problem, what's the condition of that church. What's really the condition of the church? You will find it actually in verse 4. He said, nevertheless, I have this against you. I have this against you, that you have left your first love. It's a very tough message. One thing he has against me, that I left his first love. The most hurtful things in a relationship is that when someone betrayed you and you feel that they do not love you the way they loved you in the beginning. Probably the most hurtful, the one thing very hurtful in a relationship, that when somebody feels that, your loved one left the love and betrayed you. And that's sadly what God feels in the church of Ephesus. He said, one thing, I know you work hard. I know your labor. I know your patience. But one thing you lack. I have this against you. Against you. That you left your first love. I feel God was really disappointed from this church. Not because they work hard for Him, but they really lost their first life. I hope all of us tonight ask ourselves, do you still love the way, love God? Especially the first commandment He gave it to us. It was very tough. He said, love the Lord your God from all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, even your own stress, all your strengths. You have to love God. Love the Lord God. One thing I have against you, that you left your first love. That you lost first love. There's a verse actually in Matthew chapter 25. Chapter 20, Matthew 24, verse 2 said, and because of lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. Because of lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. اللي هي ولكثرة الخطية تبرد محبة الآخرين. It's a tough message to the church of Ephesus. That you know what? I have this against you. That you lost your first life, love. So what's the solution? Verse 5 actually given the solution. He said, you know what? Remember from where you go, you have fallen. Repent and do the first thing, work. For also I will come to you quickly and remove your lampstand from its place unless you repent. Actually, it's given him 3 solutions here. First solution given him, telling him, you know what? Remember from where you've fallen. You know exactly when, like between spouse or two people love each other, and when you feel that person betrayed you or lost his first love, دايما هتقول له ايه؟ فاكر؟ Remember. فاكر الايام زمان؟ Remember those days? فبيقول له how did he fall? The number one message, remember. How did he fall? It's a message actually when you say remember means come and basically examine yourself. Sit with yourself. Number 2 is repent. I know Abu Nakulis yesterday talk about repentance and the 5 ways of repentance. But repent here, if you go to actually on dictionary.com on your phone right now, write the word, the meaning of what repent. Repent means feel or express sincere regret. So he's telling the church of Ephesus, number 1, remember how you fall from your first love. Number 2, actually, I want you to remember to be sincere and regret how you fall. So repent means feel or express sincere regret, remorse about one's wrongdoing. Remorse means deep regret or guilt for wrongdoing. Remorse, deep regret or guilt for wrongdoing. Repentance, I love a beautiful expression. Repentance is not just only feeling sorrow, but firm determination to turn away from the old life to start a new life. Repentance is not just only feeling sorrow, but firm determination to turn away from the old life and to start the new life. So number 1, remember means examine yourself. Remember how you fall. 2, repent means come back to me. Number 3, do the first words, which means show me by your action. فاكر ايام زمان the old good days when you always before you lost your first love, how we were so intimate together. I want you to come back to me. But the message, actually, the solution is 3. Number 1, remember from where you've fallen. 2, repent. 3, do your first work. And he said, by the way, if you do not do that, I will come and I remove your lampstands. We talked about the solution. The final message, actually, to the verse that we said, verse 7, he said, he who has ear, let him hear what the spirits say to the churches. He who has ear, let him hear what the spirits say to the churches. To him who overcome, I will give him to eat from the tree of life. He gives actually two important conclusions. Number one, how you listen. He who has ear, let him listen. How you listen. There's a coronavirus message going on. Coronavirus, it's a small virus. You can get rid of it by just washing your hands. But it is so powerful when it comes to somebody's body. But it's how you listen to God's message. And number two, he who overcomes, I will give him to eat from the tree of life. It's a beautiful message today for us from the church of Ephesus. It's basically to the angel, to a message for us. Remember how you lost your first life. One thing you lacked, you lost your first love to God. So I hope tonight to all of us, sit with yourself and ask yourself, how did I lose my first love? What really caused me to lose my first love to God? And he's asking you, number one, remember how you fall, repent, and do good works. And he who has ear, let him hear, and glory be to God forever and ever. Amen. هعمل بس كده دلوقتي سمر الانجلش اللي انا اتكلمت عليه زي ما كنت بتكلم بتكلم معاك احبائي في سفر الرؤيا. وسفر الرؤيا انا اتكلمت النهارده على رساله الى كنيسه افسس، ودي موجوده في رؤيا 2. واللي كتب سفر الرؤيا كتب القديس يوحنا الحبيب، وكتبه سنه 59 95 و 96. والهدف كان من الرساله هو ذكرها في كتاب في سفر الرؤيا في اول اصحاح واحد، اللي قال لهم في اصحاح واحد كده هدف الرساله في اول سفر يقول لهم ايه؟ اعلان يسوع المسيح الذي اعطاه ليرى عبيده ما لم يد ان يكون. فهو الرساله بتاعت سفر الرؤيا عن ايه اللي هيحصل في المستقبل. وبعد كده قال لهم في اصحاح عدد 3 قال لهم مهم جدا قوه واهميه قرايه الرساله دي، لما قال لهم طوبى للذين يقرؤون والذين يسمعون اقوال النبوه ويحفظونها. فبتورينا قوه ان ايه جمال ان اللي يحفظ هذه الرساله. وبعد كده في عدد 4 قال لهم يوحنا الى ايه؟ الكنائس السبعه. النهارده احب اتكلم معاكم على اول كنيسه، بس هي كنيسه افسس. كنيسه افسس. وكنيسه افسس يا احبائي من الكنائس اللي هي بيسموها كنيسه فقدت حبها لربنا. مشكلتها انها فقدت حبها لربنا. كان ليها اعمال حلوه وليها عمل حلو جدا. يقول لك كده اكتب الى ملاك الكنيسه التي في افسس، هذا يقول الممسك السبع الكواكب في يمينه الماشي في وسط السبع مناير السبعه، انا عارف اعمالك وتعبك وصبرك، وانك لا تقدر ان تحتمل الاشرار، وقد جربت القائلين ورسل رئيس الرسل فوجدتهم كاذبين، وقد احتملت ولك صبر وتعب من اجل اسمه ولم تكن، لكن عندي عليك انك تركت محبتك الاولى، فاذكر من اين سقطت وتب واعمل الاعمال الاولى، والا نفاتي عن قريب وازحزح مراتك من مكانها ان لم تتوب. ولكن عندك هذا انك تبغض اعمال المقولين التي ابغضتها انا ايضا، من له اذنان فليسمع ما يقوله الروح الكنائس، من يغلب فسيعطيه ان ياكل من شجره الحياه التي في فردوس الله، والسبح لله دائما ابديا امين. اول شيء احبائي، اول ايه بيقول اكتب الى كنيسه افسس. قلنا ملاك الكنيسه اللي هو اسقف الكنيسه، وقلنا هنا كان الاسقف القديس تيموثاوس، وقلنا مش ممكن تيموثاوس هو اللي يكون فقد محبه ربنا الاولى، ولكن لما بيقول لتيموثاوس يمثل الشعب، فهي رساله للشعب او رساله للاب، بس في نفس الوقت مبعوثه لمين؟ بيبعتها زي ما انا بالظبط لو حد عايز يبعت رساله لسيدنا البابا مثلا عن الكنيسه القبطيه بيبعت رساله بيمثلها في جنس بابا. فلما لقى كنيسه افسس يقول كده اني واول عباره قال له انا عارف اعمالك. وقلنا فعلا العباره دي عباره جميله جدا لما ربنا يقول انا عارف اعمالك، انا عارف كل شيء عنك. اوعى تفتكر ان انا ما اعرفش حاجه عنك، انا اعرف كل شيء عنك وكل حاجه، انا عارف اعمالك. وبدا يعد يعني يمدح فيه، يقول له انا عارف اعمالك وعارف تعبك وعارف صبرك وانك لا تحضرني الاشرار. فهو مدحه في 4 حاجات: اعماله الحلوه وتعبه وصبره، وانه كمان عنده غيره قويه جدا لربنا، مش بيقدر يتحمل الاشرار. فهو عمال يمدح فيه في الحاجات الحلوه بتاعته، ان هو قد ايه عنده الحاجات الحلوه دي. وكتير مننا سامحوني جدا ممكن يكون عندك غيره لربنا، ممكن بتتعب جدا لربنا، ممكن قلبك ما يقدرش يتحمل اي شيء غلط. لو كنت في مكان كده واحد يعني قال كلمه وحشه على ربنا ما تقدرش تتحملها، لو شفت واحد خاطي ماشي في الشارع ما تقدرش تتحمله، لو شفت واحد بيعمل خطأ ما تقدرش تتحمله. ولكن في عدد 3 بيقول لا انا عندي عليك بقى. عندي عليك عدد 4 بيقول له عندي عليك كلمه صعبه قوي. لما يكون واحد بيعاتب واحد، انا بعاتبك كده بقول لك على فكره انا عندي عليك، بس صعبان عليا منك، بصراحه صعبان عليا منك. فتعالى بيقول لك عندي عليك بقى انك تركت محبتك الاولى. اكتر شيء يجرح اي انسان لما يكون في علاقه مع حد، وعلاقه يعني بتحب حد من اصحابك مثلا، وتبص تلاقي صاحبك ده خانك، ولا حتى في العلاقه الداخليه الزوجيه، اصعب شيء ان الواحد يحس انه ترك محبته الاولى. فيقول انا زعلان منك جدا، انا عارف انك بتتعب عشان، انا عارف انك يعني عندك ليك اعمال حلوه عشاني، انا عارف انك انت بتتعب لدرجه انك لا تكل، مش ممكن تكل، ولكن شيء واحد بس زعلان صعبان عليا، تركت محبتك الاولى. يا ريت النهارده الواحد يرجع لنفسه يقول يا ربي ايه اللي انا عملته عشان تركت محبتك الاولى؟ اوعى يا رب محبتك الاولى تضيع مني. يا ريت النهارده دعوه تقول لك تعالى، تقول له كده انا لحبيبي وحبيبي لي قالت نفسي. دعوه لكل نفس. ربنا بيقول تعالى من اول ايه اعطيتها لك في العهد القديم، قلت لك حب الرب الهك من كل قلبك، من كل فكرك، من كل حواسك، من كل ارادتك. فبيدعيك النهارده بيقول تعالى، عندي عليك، صعبان عليا منك شويه انك انت ايه، تركت محبتك الاولى. وبعد كده بيقول ايه بقى؟ ازاي تنحل؟ طب ايه الحل؟ فقول له نمبر 3 حلول. قال له اذكر من اين سقطت. عايزك تقعد كده مع نفسك وتفتكر ايه اللي عملته عشان تفقد المحبه الاولى. ايه اللي حصل بيني وبينك لدرجه انك انت كده ايه، فقدت محبتك الاولى ليا. اذكر من اين سقطت. فاول شيء بيقول له ايه؟ اقعد مع نفسك وراجع نفسك. توب توب يعني ارجع ليا بقى. واحنا لسه كنا ايه؟ الرجوع بالقلب مش بالفكر. الرجوع بالقلب ربنا يقول راجع لك يا رب من كل قلب. وثالث حاجه قال له اعمل الاعمال الاولى. يعني ايه؟ وريني بقى اعمالك بتاع زمان لما كنا كده بنحب بعض وبنهدي بعض وبنتكلم مع بعض. عايزين نرجع الايام الحلوه دي اللي كنا فيها مع بعض. فاعطى له 3 نصايح. قال له واحد اذكر من اين سقطت، نمبر 2 توب، نمبر 3 وريني باي يور اكشن تعمل الاعمال الاولى. وقال له على فكره انا بحذرك لو ما رجعتش سوف اتي قريبا وازحزح منارتك من مكانها ان لم تتوب. وبعد كده في عدد 7 بقى بيدي النهايه بيقول من له اذنان فليسمع ما يقوله الروح، ما يقوله الكنائس، من يغلب فسأعطيه ان ياكل من شجره الحياه التي في وسط الفردوس الله. اعطى له هنا نصيحتين. قال له على فكره خلي بالك انا ببعت لك الرساله دي عندي عليك انك تركت المحبه الاولى، ولكن تذكر حاجه مهمه جدا جدا. اهم حاجه كيف تسمع. من له اذنان للسمع فليسمع. انا حاسس ان كورونا فيروس دي هي رساله لكل واحد مننا، ولكن السؤال كيف اسمع هذه الرساله؟ من له اذنان، مين عنده اذن بقى يسمع؟ ساعات كتير قوي الواحد يتكلم بس ما حدش بيسمع. فبيقول من له اذنان. نمبر 2 بقى مش بس له اذنان، واحد بيجاهد كل يوم. فبيقول ايه؟ من يغلب فسأعطيه ان ياكل من شجره الحياه. وعد جميل جدا جدا يا احبائي لكل انسان مننا اللي يقدر ويكافح ويجاهد الجهاد الحسن ويكون عندك جهاد قوي، سوف ياكل من شجره الحياه التي في وسط فردوس الله. ربنا معاكم جميعا. ربنا يدينا ان احنا النهارده كده كل واحد يرجع نفسه، ان نقول له يا رب فعلا انا ايه يعني، عايز اشوف ازاي سقطت الحب الاول مني يا رب. المره الجايه باراده ربنا عشان تروح اكتب نقرا هنتكلم على كنيسه سمنيا. ربنا معاكم جميعا ويبارك في حياتكم، ودايما امسك في وعود ربنا وما تخافش. ربنا معانا، وان كان رب معنا فمن علينا. ما تخافوش من اي شيء. صدقوني يعني انا زي ما ندمت في الاول خالص، قلت بعض التنبيهات وقلت لكم يعني احنا سمعنا في مصر سيدنا البابا الكنيسه مقفوله لحد باذن الله، لحد حتى في الاسبوع الالام. بكره عندنا ميتنج مع الانبا ديفيد باذن الله. سيدنا الانبا ديفيد هنقابل معاه بكره الساعه 12، وهنديكم ابديت ايه اللي هيحصل باذن الله، وايه اللي هنعمله في الاسبوع الالام باراده ربنا بديتيل. وفي نفس الوقت يعني بقول لكم على حاجه، من له اذنان للسمع. رساله كورونا فيروس رساله لكل واحد مننا، ان اوعى تقول ان ربنا بس بيبانش فيه. ياس ممكن، ولكن اهم شيء هي دعوه للرجوع الى الله. ربنا يبارك فيكم، يبارك في اسرتكم، ويبارك في حياتكم، يجعلها دايما بيت بركه وبيت صلاه بالطهاره. وحشتونا وحشتونا وحشتونا، ولهنا كل مجد والكرامه الى ابد امين. دلوقتي ما تمشوش، هنعمل تمجيد مع بعض، والشمامسه يكونوا معانا. الشمامسه معانا باسون فلوباتير مدحت، ومعانا ابونا بولس برضه هيكونوا معانا دلوقتي. هنعمل تمجيد مع بعض، يا ريت تحضروا التمجيد وتصلوا معانا. اتفضلوا مع بعض التمجيد.